Good morning, everyone. I hope you're having a great start to your week. These last weeks of August as we get ready for September and the new year, which we don't even know what's going to be. I wanted to give you a short thought on our Parsha. I wasn't planning to talk about this, but yesterday in the morning we got the Wall Street Journal and I saw this amazing story about this 93 and 91-year-old couple from North Carolina. He was a Baptist minister. His name was Jack. Her name is Jerry. I think the last name is Eccles or I'm not even sure how you pronounce it, but the story really moved me. And it made me think about something we read in today's Torah portion, beginning portion Ki Teitzei. And I'll tell you my thought and then I'll connect it to the story. So this week's Torah portion is Ki Teitzei, and as I told you before, every day of the week we read one of the 7 portions with the commentary Rashi. So the portion begins speaking about when the Jews had to go out to war. You can imagine coming into Israel, there were a lot of enemies to the Jewish people, and unfortunately there were times when you had to go out to war, you had to go out to fight with your enemies. And the Torah tells us when you go out to war and you're successful and you win a war and God delivers your enemies into your hand. And the second verse says something very interesting. It says, V'ra'isa b'shivya, and you will see at the war in captivity, Eishes Yifas Taya, a beautiful woman. V'chashakta ba, and you will lust her, and you will want her. V'lakachta l'cha le'isha, and you will take her as your wife. And then the Torah goes on, speaking about a case when you have a woman that you don't like, that you hate, and continues on to a child that rebels. And the rabbis tell us that there's really a connection between these 3 things. That the Torah, and Rashi comments on the bottom, that when a person lusts a woman, even though the Torah felt that it's not the right thing for him to do, the Torah didn't tell him that he can't. Because sometimes our heart lusts so much that even if we were told we shouldn't and we can't do it, we would do it anyways. But the Torah warns us, even when it's allowing us to do it, that listen, you know what happens? If you marry someone just because you have lust for them, just because you like the way they look or you want them at that moment, then what ends up happening is you're going to end up hating them. You're going to end up divorcing them. And your children who are born from this marriage are going to be children that sometimes rebel against their parents and against the values that we would have liked to teach them. What the Torah is telling us here is something very important. Why do we marry someone? Why do we date someone? Is it because of our lust or is it because of our love? What's the difference between lust and love? Lust is something that's here and now. It's something that gives me enjoyment. It's something that's my benefit. Love is something that's a deeper commitment that goes beyond the here and the now. It's something that what could I give? How could I make a difference in someone's life? You love someone and you want to do something for them. You lust something and you want it for yourself. I always tell people, right? Someone says, I love chicken. So you don't love chicken. You like the way it tastes. You like what it does to your palate. You like what it does to your stomach. If you love chicken, you would make a nice little place for them to run around and you wouldn't kill them. And they wouldn't be on your plate where you're eating them. But because you lust it and you enjoy it, then you kill it and you eat it. So love and lust are very different. And I think sometimes I have these people that come to talk to me about their dating and they have questions about the person they're dating. Are they beautiful enough? You know, is it someone that they should marry? And they struggle with what to do. And I always tell them, look, you see America, we have a divorce rate that hits 50%. And a lot of it has to do with the reasons why we marry. Because we don't marry for love, we marry for lust. And when you marry for lust, how long could your lust last? It could last 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years. We get older, circumstances change, things change, jobs change, children, people, their looks, their figures. And suddenly the lust's not there anymore. So what do you do then if there's no love? So I always tell people that when we date, we have to remember why we're dating. You want to find someone that you could love. Love is about what you could give. You know, when Gurney and I were dating, so we dated in traditional Chabad way. Someone set us up. It was a blind date. It was a dear friend of mine and a dear friend of Gurney's who thought that we would be compatible. And we went out to date. Gurney was teaching in Stamford, Connecticut, and I was studying in New York, and we dated. And what did we do? We'd go out to a hotel. We'd go to the bar, the lobby, or the lounge, and we would sit and we would talk for hours. We would talk about what we want in a marriage, what we want to bring to the world, what our goals are and the impact we want to have on other people, what we would want in children and building a home, what we would want to teach our children, what are the values we would want. Of course, we needed to be attracted to each other, and thank God 20 years later, we're happily married, and those that know us can attest it. But it was about what we want to build together. It was about why we're getting married. Love was about what we're going to give together to the world, to each other, to the next generation. And that's one of our biggest challenges. And the Torah says it. The Torah doesn't say, the Torah says, you're going to see a beautiful woman. It doesn't say, you're going to love her. It says, you're going to lust her. You're going to want to marry her not because you love her, not because you want to build a home together, not because you want to have children together, not because you want to change the world together. You're going to marry her just for pure lust. I love chicken. What's going to end up happening? It's not going to last. It's an important message we have to teach our children in how they see us, and we have to build up within them the characteristics and understanding of what it means to date, what it means to marry someone, what marriage is all about, why we get married, what our responsibilities are. It's not all about fun. It's not all about going out to the bar and being intimate together. It's about a vision. It's about what we want to do together. And that's what happened when I read the Wall Street Journal yesterday. It really moved me. It said a story about this guy, Jack and Jerry. He's 93, she's 91. On March 12th of this year, he came to visit her at the nursing home where she suffers from Alzheimer's, and they didn't want to let him in. There was new COVID regulations. We know some of the hardest hit places have been nursing homes, and it's been terrible. But what we don't realize is also the impact on those who couldn't see their loved ones. So this guy, Jack, who's married for 70 years, comes on March 12th, and they tell him he can't go in. There's new rules. The next day, March 13th, he comes with a suitcase, with a laptop, with his medicines, and he says, I want to move in. I can't be without my wife. They rented him a little room in the nursing home, separate from his wife, with warnings he wasn't allowed to walk around the nursing home. And 3 times a day he would go see his wife, who shared a room with someone else, and he would feed her. His wife had Alzheimer's. She doesn't remember much. In fact, in the last few months, she stopped saying, I love you. But this guy has spent the last 5 months in the nursing home, in a room where he barely sees the sun because he has one little window in his room that faces a brick wall. And to see his family, very seldom his family comes to visit him. He sees them through a glass door. But every day, he goes to see his wife and he feeds her. And if you read the article in the journal, it speaks about how long it takes him every time, 90 minutes each feed, and the way he has to lean her that she shouldn't choke, and how hard, and he doesn't deny how hard it is for him. But he says he would never have it any other way. He says, I love this woman. For 70 years, she took care of me. Now it's my turn. And the nursing home says that, of course, they could never do such a thing for this woman or for any of their patients, but they see the difference it's had on her. And he says, although she doesn't tell me I love you anymore, when I come to feed her, I could see that spark in her. There's something in her eyes, in her face, that I know she knows me. That's love. That's commitment. And you read the article, and it speaks about the hardships and the challenges, but it made me think about what the Torah says. And you will lost her. If you read the article and you see about how Jerry and Jack met 70 plus years ago, it was about love. It was about commitment to each other. And here they are 70 plus years, and there's still that same love and commitment, even through hardships, even through struggles. May Hashem give us that we should always have love and happiness in our life. And we should recognize what love means and what we're here for and what we should teach our children about love. Have a great day.